anticipation of Easter. Lent is 40 days of self-denial. Remember, Easter is 50 days of indulgence. We fast, but then we feast. Though it's curious, we seem to remember the 40 days, but people forget the 50 days. 6 or 7 days into Easter, they're on to the next thing. Well, that's up to you. You have to fast for 40 days. If you don't want to feast for 50 days, I say keep it going. In this season of Lent, we want to have a special homily series to help us focus, reflecting on the 7 last words that Jesus said before dying on the cross. His 7 words while he hung on the cross. But each of those words or phrases is packed with significance for us and tie on some of the themes of Lent. So we're just introducing the concept today. The first full homily will be next week with Father Isaac. What were the words that Jesus said? He said, "Father, forgive them, they know not what they do." We'll reflect on that next week. He said to the thief, "You will be with me in paradise today." He said to John, the beloved apostle, "Behold your mother Mary. Take her into your home." He said to God the Father, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" He said to us, "I thirst." And then he said, "It is finished." And then his 7th word, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." So each week we'll reflect on one of those phrases. And what is that deeper significance? This is his last will and testament. These are his last words to us. These are very meaningful. And so perhaps if you have friends who are away from church too, bring them to hear this series, the 7 last words. What word does Jesus want to say to us through these words which he said on the cross? So we'll begin that next week. Lent is a time traditionally for prayer, fasting, and almsgiving to help us grow strong against temptation, and that's the theme of the scriptures today. The first reading is about the original sin of Adam and Eve, and because of that original sin, temptation entered the world. We're tempted to sin against each other. We're tempted to sin against God. We're weak. The devil tempts us. The gospel, we hear that dramatic showdown between the devil and Jesus, but it's not a joke. It really happened. The devil tried to tempt God. Don't be surprised that we are tempted. And those 3 elements of Lent, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, help Jesus to push back against the devil. Jesus fasted and prayed for 40 days so that he'd be ready for this temptation. The devil said, "Don't fast, eat bread. Change the rocks into bread." Jesus said, "No, I'm fasting." The devil said, "Don't give alms to others. Don't give things away. You can have all the riches of the world. Be selfish." Jesus said, "No, that's not why I'm here." The devil said, "Don't pray. Worship me. Worship yourself." And Jesus said, "No, you worship God alone. That's why we pray." So praying, fasting, and almsgiving are the ways we beat temptation. We struggle against temptation just like Jesus. So almsgiving in Lent is one way that we do it. We last weekend spoke about the Archbishop's annual appeal. So this weekend we have a message from the Archbishop himself, a video clip that we'll show. I believe. We don't. Maybe? Let's see. Okay. You're stuck with me. Just reminding us, as we mentioned last weekend, that we are a parish family, but we're also part of a diocesan family. 150 parishes doing tremendous work and having tremendous influence on ideas, right? Trying to bring the ideas of Jesus to influence society, right? Not just living in our own little circle, but saying Jesus wants the whole world to be his circle. He wants governments to be run on Christian principles. They don't have to be specifically Christian, but that these ideas that Jesus revealed that we should know anyway impact society. That our businesses are run on Christian principles. That our schools are teaching Christian principles. That our hospitals are delivering medical care according to Christian principles. And so the church has this role of setting up hospitals and universities and schools and religious education and youth groups and adult formation, trying to bring the ideas of Jesus to the world, to the state of Maryland, more specifically. But also the charity of Jesus. Jesus didn't come to take the riches to himself as the devil tempted. Rather, Jesus came to challenge us and motivate us to love others more generously, to give. The reason there's brokenness in the world, at least the good that can come out of that original sin of Adam and Eve, because of that original sin, people get sick. That's bad. But because people are sick, we're challenged to be generous to care for them. That's good, right? Because of original sin and temptation, we sin against each other. We hurt each other. We're selfish. That's bad. But the good that can come out of it is we can be merciful and say, I forgive you. That's good, right? So even though there's a brokenness, there's poverty and famine. That's bad. But if it pulls generosity out of our heart and we respond, that's good. So even the bad effects of original sin, Jesus challenges us. If we respond generously, it becomes a good thing. Praying and fasting and giving alms. So this annual appeal of the Archbishop is one big way we do it, in addition to our weekly generosity in the Mass collection. So today is an opportunity for us to go through the process of filling out the commitment cards. Again, some of us have done this because we received a notice in the mail. I think about 30% of our parish has already responded. But we'd like to take this moment. We ask that everyone fill out a card this evening. If you've already given, there's a box you can check off saying so. If you're giving tonight or making a commitment, there's a box you can check. Even if you decide not to give this year, there's a box you can check for that too. Though I would encourage you to give something. Give $5. Give $1. It'd be really neat if we had 100% participation from the people in the pews. The Archbishop would say, what is going on in Linthicum? They're out of control. But please do fill one out. So let's take a moment now. They're at the end of the pews. There's pencils. You can pass them down, one per family. And let's just take a moment to walk through this commitment card. So if you open up the card, there's an English side and a Spanish side. Most will use the English side. And on that flap in the middle, we'll fill out our information. First line, we fill in our name, first and last name. Second line, if we're married, then our spouse's name. The next few lines are for our address. First line, street, number and name, and then second line, city, state, and zip code. Some of us might want to make a one-time gift, a one-time commitment, or some might want to spread it out over 8 months. So if you're making a commitment over several months, you could put down your email address or preferred phone number so that keep that communication with the diocese over the course of those 8 months. So email address and preferred phone. And then below that, our parish name. Our parish gets a percentage back of what we give. And that's part of our annual budget, so we want to make sure it comes back to our parish and not some other parish. So please put St. Philip Neri, Linthicum. Now, if you're visiting us from another parish, you can put down the name of your home parish, or you can be very generous and put our parish down. And then below that, there are those boxes. The first box you could check if you've already given to the 2017 appeal. And if that's the case, you don't need to fill out any more of this card. The second box is if you choose not to give a gift this year. And the third box is if you choose to give a gift. Actually, the third box is if you want to create an endowment, so be careful about checking off that box. If you want to give an endowment or have more information about how to support the church. But if you're going to make a commitment tonight, then we'll look on the right-hand side, that shaded area. where we can put down the amount which we wish to pledge tonight. Up above that, you see that chart. It just shows if you want to break your gift into monthly installments, how it would break down. If you were giving a gift of $300, it would be $37 a month. If you're giving a gift of $1,000, it would be $125 a month over 8 months. If you're giving a gift of $5,000, it would be $625. So that just helps to see the monthly increment. But in that shaded area on the right-hand side, put the total amount pledged tonight. If you're enclosing some of that pledge in the envelope tonight, put the amount you wish to enclose tonight. Could be a percentage of it or all of it. And then the remaining balance. And if we're paying a commitment by check, that can be made out to the Archbishop's annual appeal. The Archbishop's annual appeal. Below that, there's boxes to check if you're giving a full payment enclosed or if you're breaking it into 8 monthly installments. Check the second box. And then below that, if you're giving by cash, check the first box, or by credit card, the second box, or by check, the third box. And then below that, if you're giving by credit card, fill in the appropriate information, the type of card, the card number, the expiration date, and the signature. So we'll take a few moments to complete that. And then when you complete that, you can just take off that center flap and put it in the envelope. And close the envelope. On the front of the envelope, there are boxes to check just so it's easier to process these. First box, if there's a check enclosed. Second box, if there's cash enclosed. Third box, if there's credit card information enclosed. And fourth box, if there's no payment enclosed. And I'll ask our ushers now if they could come forward and come to the front, and then we'll collect from the front to the back as we would normally do for our Sunday collections. And again, thank you for the ongoing generosity of our parish to our local needs here in Linthicum, also to the greater needs of the state of Maryland.